Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. As Nigeria is preparing for the 2027 election, new development has been coming up, and reactions also have been coming from political stakeholders to such development. And the latest is the fact that a bill has been introduced, and this bill is actually co-sponsored by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and Marcus Onubun, who is from Edo State constituency. It's actually been introduced in the House of Representatives, and according to the bill, which is now before the House Committee on Constitution Review, what it seeks to address is actually to amend Section 40, 81, 84, 153, 222, 225, 226, and 228, and the text schedule of the Constitution to empower PPRRC to register, regulate, monitor, and oversee the finances, internal democracy, primaries, and general operations in Nigeria. And it is creating a lot of issues with political stakeholders, especially the opposition, the likes of the Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He has responded to it. The same with Peter Obi. Both of them have faulted the House of Representatives, proposing to establish the Political Party Registration and Regulation Commission. That's the meaning of that PPRRC. I'm going to read a little excerpt from the bill and also the reaction coming from Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. And this is what it tries to explain. Now, according to its explanatory memorandum, the bill aims to reduce the burden on INEC and allow the PPRRC to focus squarely on regulating registration, dissolution, and monitoring of the operation of political parties to ensure order, transparency, and a level playing field. Now, speaking yesterday, the media advisor to Atiku Abubakar, Paul Ibe, acknowledged that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is overstretched with responsibility, which has affected its capacity to conduct free, fair, and credible election. In his word, he says that INEC is biting more than it can chew. Some of the facts it is saddled with gives room for a lot of distraction. As good as it is to relieve the umpire of these tasks, the way to go is not to establish another commission. Instead, he suggested that existing agencies such as the National Identity Management Commission could be empowered to handle party registration and monitoring without duplicating functions. The former vice president stressed that Nigeria needs a stronger and more efficient INEC rather than setting up another costly institution. In his word, he says that Nigeria needs a well-structured INEC that is efficient in service delivery. We don't need to establish another commission to replicate functions that already existing institution can perform. Let's also look at what Peter Obi has to say in react to the bill proposing establishment of this commission. Obi himself has faulted the establishment of the commission. That's the bill proposing establishment of such commission. And speaking to the national coordinator of the obedient movement, Tanko Yanusa, in an interview, Obi faulted the plan amendment, insisting that the registration of political parties is the primary duty of the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC. And in his word, he says, what we advocated based on Justice Muhammad Uwai's report was an electoral monitoring committee which would deal with elections and an enforcement commission which will enforce laws on credible elections. The third one is the delineation commission. Yanusa argued that completely stripping INEC of its role in party registration will be misguided, stressing that reforms should focus on tackling electoral malpractice rather than duplicating responsibility. And is what he says. You cannot strip INEC completely of the power to register and regulate political party. That is one of its primary functions. The Constitution requires committees should have concentrated on enforcement commission, which will deal with the issues of electoral malfeasance. These will take care of electoral malpractice. INEC can be relieved of this rule to ensure it to concentrate on election conduct and party registration. And it's interesting that this is coming up earlier enough. Now, don't forget that the bill actually is pushing for the establishment of a political party registration and regulation commission, and according to them, they will be charged with the responsibility of registering political parties, regulating political parties, monitoring political parties, overseeing their finances. That has caused a lot of issues. Internal democracies, the primaries, which means INEC will not be involved in the primaries of any political party, and its general operation. Their duty is to regulate and all of that. But Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar says it's absolutely not okay for INEC to be stripped of the responsibility of registering, because that alone, we all know it's their own primary function. But be that as it may, as much as Nigerians are looking for electoral reform, the target is not the issue of registration or regulating political party, because that has really not been the issue Nigerians are focusing on. The real issue here is malpractice. Malpractice has been one issue that has threatened the peaceful conduct of elections. Talking about electoral malpractice, we've seen such. So I think I stand with the position of Tanko Yanusa, talking about the coordinator of Obedient Movement, the man who is very close to Peter Obi. The issue here is, how can we reduce to the barest minimum the issue of election malpractice? That should be our concern. An establishment of any commission to foresee and also to stop anything called electoral malpractice should be the most important thing right now. So even as INEC will be conducting the election, there should be another commission that is checkmating INEC in the area of result announcement. People who will be saying this is how things ought to be done. And also during the period of elections, their own is whenever they are out there, as much as there's an INEC ad hoc staff, there should also be a staff of that commission who will be in place to authenticate that things were done rightly. An event of their defaulting, they should be brought to book. And I think that's the most important thing that Nigerians are looking for, because if there is any issue when it comes to the issue of election in Nigeria, if there's any issue of concern, it's actually the malpractice. The malpractice has made us to raise or created a situation whereby people who ought not to win elections are winning elections. People who ought not to come out tops during election are the ones coming out tops. So if there's anything we can do so that the opinion of the people or the vote of the people will really make a great deal of sense, and Nigerians will, flee anything called political apathy and, get as much involvement in election as possible, that issue should have a commission looking at it. Enforcement commission, just like Tanko has rightly pointed out, and also a malpractice commission, which will deal with issues of electoral malpractice. And that's my standpoint.